Welcome to xGameZones, hub to latest popular games, cheat code, reviews, preview and news. Warlocks 2 brings a beautifully crafted pixel world to life in a not-so-unique fashion as a rebounds-per-game platformer. The team could learn a couple things from other popular platformers to take this title to the next level. While the mechanics are simplistic in nature, that game is still fun to play. The soundtrack is pleasing, but the sound effects could use some work to tie in with the gorgeous pixel art. If you're expecting a AAA experience, you won't receive it here, but that doesn't always mean everything. Unfortunately, there is a complete game-breaking bug that blocks progression completely. Hopefully this is something they can resolve very quickly, as it truly causes the game to be unplayable. Please subscribe in our YouTube channel and follow and like us on Facebook #xGameZones. Visit our site at www.xgamezones.com for more gaming review. Warlocks. Warlocks 2 Godslayers is a retro-themed platformer rebounds-per-game set in a gorgeous pixel art world of magic and villains abound. I immediately was brought back to my childhood, as the game reminded me eerily of the 1994 release of The Lion King on the Sega Genesis, except it's all about Warlocks instead. Gameplay mechanics in Warlocks 2 are very simple. Being a rebounds-per-game platformer, mechanics aren't the best in the world, but could seriously borrow from games like Hollow Knight. Simplistic as they are, they're still fun, to an extent. It's very evident the game was created with a controller in mind. The game even goes so far to point out that you'd auto-lock onto enemies if you used one. Immediately you'll find that the spacebar doesn't jump. Instead, you use SAD to move, with W being your jump key, and S being the key you use to move down on, say, a bridge, or other blocks that allow you to navigate downwards. It took me some time to get used to this. I found myself constantly hitting spacebar in an effort to jump, only to find it using one of my abilities. The worst part about this is the fact that you cannot rebind keys, so you're stuck with what they have it set to. Keys are bound to right mouse, left control, which you bind abilities to. Thankfully you can choose what you'd like to go where, even with the lack of key rebinding. It just takes a bit to get used to the system of key binds. Outside of attacks, you've got hotkeys 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are used for healing items. Unfortunately, when you compare this game to other platformers such as Hollow Knight, for example, you're left wanting. Warlocks 2 is rather lackluster and shallow in comparison. The gameplay is fun, albeit limiting. When you're dealing with a platformer rebounds per game, you're rather limited in what you can achieve in terms of pure gameplay. It's a rather narrow niche genre, and the maps really limit you to what you can do. Yet even with these limitations, it's still fun to play. I think cooldowns could be changed somewhat, as I felt like my attacks were really slow in comparison to the enemies, which resulted in my death when I was surrounded by dozens of them at once. I was at odds on the platforming mechanics at first, wondering how I could get to the ledges holding treasure chests with the lack of a double jump. Then I unlocked an ability that allowed me to teleport slightly, giving me the distance I needed to jump just high enough to reach them. Only to be disappointed that the treasure chests largely only had coins. That's not to say none had items, I just expected more from a hard-to-reach chest. The graphical design of the game is rather pleasing. Beautiful hand-drawn pixel artwork from the character design all the way down to each level design. I have a soft place for beautiful pixel art, even more so for a beautifully designed game that utilizes pixel art. It's not an easy thing to do, and Frozen District nailed it. For the most part, the audio aspect is decent. Some of the mobs have rather weird noises they make, and some abilities just sound wonky and not fitting at all. I really expected better sound effects to go with the beautiful design of the game world. Overall, they're not bad, and I can't really complain about them. I just expected more. Unfortunately, I did run into a progress blocking bug, with the only way to bypass it is to start over from scratch. Without having any save feature, and relying on the game's autosave only, issues like this are bound to happen. It's a very bad thing to have a bug block complete progression with the only recourse is starting over from square one. While I'm sure they can fix this, for the time being, I am absolutely stuck unless I decide to start the game over again, and let me say I don't look forward to that at all. I can say, however, that this bug is the only one I've come across so far. Whether that's a good thing or not is debatable. It's just hard to justify this as a buy in the current state. Without the bug, I'd say it's a solid buy if you're into this type of game. Otherwise, wait for a deep sell. If you have any comments or suggestion, feel free to comment below. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe in our YouTube channel and follow and like us on Facebook #xGameZones. For more gaming review, visit our site at www.xgamezones.com. Don't forget to click the notification bell.